TC is go.
STC,
STC is go.
GTC,
C's go.
MCO,
CO's go.
Safety Console,
Safety Console is go.
LPE.
LP's go.
All right, NTD, I copy all. At this time, I'll perform my poll. Attention on the net. This is the launch director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch.
Und herzlich willkommen zu diesem kurzen oder auch langen Stream. Ich weiß nicht, wie es laufen wird. Auf jeden Fall werden wir uns hier den Artemis Launch angucken. Und ich werde ein bisschen dazu vielleicht kommentieren. Ich werde vielleicht nicht so viel reden, damit ihr auch ein bisschen vom Rest mitbekommt und ja, ich auch ein bisschen mehr mitbekomme. Und ja, auf jeden Fall werden wir uns den jetzt schön zusammen angucken und genießen und hoffen, dass alles gut läuft.
Good Air Your Voice, Charlie, PLT.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families.
MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2. This is Jeremy.
Auf jeden Fall jetzt gerade prüfen noch so wichtige Sachen und besprechen noch Astronautensachen. Hier seht ihr noch die Astronauten einmal sitzen schon in der Rakete bereit.
On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go. And NTD launch director.
Go ahead, launch director.
Yes, sir. You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR, NTD.
Go.
Figure risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8 and 9 going to work.
Copy. CVSE, NTD. Start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy.
Okay. Well, there you heard it.
RSR, NTD.
RSR.
They're getting ready to start terminal count.
arm rotation enable at this time, please.
It's currently at T-minus 10 minutes. Once we wrap up this last bit of work,
SNA arm rotation enable complete.
We're going to start that clock.
Copy that. Thank you.
Integrity crew, close and lock visors.
You heard an issue, worked in real time with telemetry lock on the Orion. It was transitory. It was very short. They checked the data, confirmed that they had a good lock. This was with the S-band transmitter on the Orion. Worked through that issue, looked at the data, and cleared it. All with the world watching. Impressive work by the launch team. So we have a 2-hour window, which starts in just a few minutes at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time and goes until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time.
And ECL NTD will be waiting for your verification on the short purge.
ECL copies.
And for all personnel, once we get that short purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count. ECL time estimate?
About a minute.
Copy.
Also der Start dauert jetzt nicht mehr lange. Sie werden jetzt bald starten.
So we're going into the launch window, but not by much, it looks like. just wrapping up some final work. And once that's completed, you'll hear NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding ask for the ground launch sequencer operator to go ahead and start the clock. The ground launch sequencer is an application software. It runs on top of the launch control system in the firing room, acts like a conductor of an orchestra, executing hundreds of commands in precise order and timing.
Also der 10-Minuten-Timer soll jetzt gleich gestartet werden. Den sehen wir auch oben in der Ecke einmal. Jetzt gerade steht er noch still. In dem großen Bild sehen wir die Rakete jetzt nochmal aus einer besseren Perspektive. Das, was da rausdampft, ist Sauerstoff. Daran erkennen wir auch, dass der Start nicht mehr lange dauert.
3, 2, 1, mark.
Und der 10-Minuten-Timer ist jetzt gestartet, also 10 Minuten.
And that begins terminal count. Our new T0 is 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We are now counting down to liftoff of Artemis 2.
Sehen wir die Zeit nicht mehr oben, aber jetzt genau da, also in dem
From now on, you're going to hear two voices on the loops.
10 Minuten noch bis zum Artemis 2
NASA
Start.
Test Director Jeff Spaulding, who's directly managing the launch team, and Alex Bendelos, the GLS operator who closely monitors the software. He has the ability to stop and restart the countdown.
Also wie wir gehört haben, ist dann auch passiert, dass der nochmal gestoppt oder restartet wird, aber denke ich, ist eher unwahrscheinlich. Also der eine, wenn er da kann, ist halt stoppen oder neu starten.
There you heard confirmation of the exact T0, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Again, our T0 is 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. But as I was saying, there's no launch button. This is autonomous. But there is a button that keeps you from launching, and that button allows the GLS operator to pause the countdown outside of terminal count and during terminal count and submit a hold to the next holding point. So the clock won't stop right away. If there's an issue, we'll go to the next stable holding point. This is how GLS configures the rocket and ground systems to a stable point where they can stop the countdown if that's needed. But right now, we are counting down. Our next big milestone, looking to retract the crew access arm.
8 Minuten jetzt noch.
GLS's go for crew access arm retract.
And there you see the crew access arm moving away. That's the path that the astronauts took to ingress into the rocket. Until this point, that was their way off the pad if they needed to evacuate.
Da sehen wir auch den Weg, das ist die Brücke, mit der die Astronauten in die Rakete reingegangen sind.
And they'll begin arming that shortly. Of course, the launch abort system, great shot there of the crew access arm retracting away. The launch abort system is the tower at the top, and that's what would pull Orion and its crew off the top of the rocket in case of an emergency, whether it's on the ground or in flight. This is critical safety hardware that protects the lives.
Erklärt gerade, oben diese Spitze ist die Notfallrakete, die im Notfall die Astronauten wegschießt, sage ich mal, und sie damit retten kann. Egal ob vom Boden aus oder in der Luft.
Starting at T-minus 6 minutes, the GLS will start bringing that and other high energy systems online, starting with core stage pressurization. Weather is 90% go. The range is go. All systems are go.
Alle Systeme wurden gestartet.
GLS is go for core stage tank pressurization.
That means the replenish valve for the liquid hydrogen tank has now closed, and that tank is beginning to pressurize to flight levels because that hydrogen is naturally boiling inside the tank. We'll get the liquid oxygen tank a little later in the count. Now the team is waiting for verification that, if needed, the Artemis II crew could use the launch abort system to pull Orion safely off the top of the rocket in an emergency. Let's listen in for that call.
GLS verifies last capability available.
And CDR, do you copy?
CDR copies, last available.
That's great news, and you heard the NTD verify that with the commander of the mission.
Noch 5 Minuten bis zum Start.
Now work is being done to
Beim
arm
Start
the
werde ich
flight
mich gleich
termination
stumm,
system.
dann könnt ihr den
This is
Start
so the range
perfekt
safety
genießen.
can
Also
send
ich will
a
da dann nicht
flight
mehr
termination
reinreden,
command if the rocket flies too far off
damit das
track.
auch ein besseres Erlebnis für euch wird.
There's a brief built-in delay, so the launch abort system has time to pull the astronauts to safety first.
LH2 high flow bleed check.
Bei Fragen zum Start oder so einfach gerne in den Live-Chat schreiben, dann werde ich sie
High
versuchen
flow
zu
bleed check.
beantworten. Falls ihr im
So the
kleinen
cryo
Stream seid,
team
könnt ihr auch auf den
gets
Kanal zum
verification
großen
that the
wechseln.
RS-25
Ist
engines,
halt
all
nochmal
4 of
besser
them,
zu
are
sehen
in the
alles.
proper temperature range for launch.
GLS is go for core stage APU start.
Core stage APUs start. Those are auxiliary power units, high-speed turbines which provide pressure to hydraulic pumps that steer the RS-25 engines. We're going to see a gimbal test a little later at T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is what allows that to happen. Coming up in about 20 seconds, we're listening for go for purge sequence 4. That's a helium purge of the 4 core stage engines downstream of the propellant valve. This gets all the air and moisture out of there.
Ja, ich weiß, wer in der Rakete sind. Also da sind 4 Astronauten drin. Einmal Heid Wiesmann aus der USA, Victor Glauves, Christina Koch, die sind außer USA, und dann haben wir noch Jeremy Hansen aus Kanada, müsste der gewesen sein. 3 Minuten jetzt bis zum Start.
Coming up in just a few seconds, we're going to get that thrust vector control actuator test. This is a gimbaling of the engines. There are the 4 RS-25s.
Jetzt sehen wir schon die Triebwerke noch am runterkühlen und wahrscheinlich gleich starten.
Shuttle parts. And there you see them moving.
Die Triebwerke haben sich gerade bewegt, also sie richten sich aus. Jetzt wichtig, damit die Rakete natürlich nicht schief liegt, damit sie gegendrückt, wenn zum Beispiel Wind oder so ist.
From both the upper stage and the lower stage of the rocket to internal, taking ground power away and now going to battery power.
Falls ihr das nochmal in groß hier sehen wollt, sage ich nochmal jetzt wichtig vom Start, könnt ihr gerne auf meinem Kanal in den Stream wechseln, wo das alles groß ist, also nicht der kleinliche.
The ICPS, and it's been switched to battery. Same milestone for the lower core stage coming up at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds. Right now, the 4-person Artemis II crew
gleich 1 Minute 30 bis zum Start und wir wünschen den Astronauten natürlich viel Glück. Aber ich denke, es wird alles gut gehen. Genießt einfach den Raketenstart.
GLS is go for core stage to internal power.
All right, there's the rocket's core stage, which houses 3 flight computers, is now on its own power. There's no more hold time because there's no more margin on these batteries. So we would have to recycle back to T-minus 10 to recharge if we had a hold.
One minute.
Right now, the rocket does not know what the T0 is, but coming up at T-minus 33 seconds, control shifts from the ground launch sequencer to the rocket's onboard autonomous launch sequencer, or ALS. The rocket will count itself down, but honor any holds that could come from the ground. Now, shortly after liftoff, Houston will take control of the rocket, and my colleague Gary Jordan will take over commentary.
GLS is go for ALS.
Great call out. The rocket is on its own. 4 brave explorers ready to ride the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched. Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same?
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis II mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour. Minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%, ahead of solid rocket booster separation, expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark. We see throttle down. Confirmed separation. Main engine's throttling up, guidance converged.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all, Stan.
Integrity, SM priming complete.
SM priming complete.
2 minutes 45 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. Thrusters on Integrity and upper stage confirmed in a ready state, ahead of service module fairing separation. 3 minutes into the flight, Integrity 49 miles in altitude, 78 miles downrange, now passing 5,000 miles per hour. Standing by for launch abort system jettison.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy jettison, Team Eco 8+02.
We see the same on board, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on Tidris at the Kármán line.
Outstanding, Stan. We have you the same.
3 minutes 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis 2, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen cross the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working on internal checks to verify accuracy.
So, der Start ist jetzt zum Glück gut gelaufen. Also es hat alles geklappt, so wie es sollte bis jetzt. Wir können gleich, wenn ihr wollt, nochmal zurückspulen, dann kann ich ein paar Sachen, einzelne Sachen erklären. Hier sehen wir nochmal die Rakete von unten. Sie fliegt. Man konnte sehr gut sehen, wie sie ihre weiteren Triebwerke eben abgeworfen hat. Und ja, bis jetzt ist es sehr gut verlaufen. 4 Minuten fliegt sie jetzt schon, sehen wir. Und hier sehen wir die Aufnahmen direkt von der Rakete von außen, also vom Triebwerk oben. Da können wir jetzt die Erde sehen. Circa 2 Uhr nachts sollte man die jetzt hier auch in Deutschland am Himmel sehen können. So 2 bis 3 Uhr nachts. Aber gut, das wird halt nur ein sehr, sehr kleiner Punkt sein.
GPS guidance, navigation, and control software finishes internal checks and sends to navigation channels.
Integrity, 3 engine press.
3 engine press.
On time, now passing 5 minutes 20 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. At this point, 3 good main engines are all that's needed to carry Integrity to a nominal main engine cutoff target. Though at this time, we're seeing 4 good engines here in Mission Control Houston. Integrity, 75 miles in altitude, 330 miles downrange, approaching 10,000 miles per hour.
Hier sehen wir jetzt nochmal von unten. Man konnte auch eben hören, dass man die sogar noch von sehr weit weg, relativ gut oder laut hören konnte. Also die war schon ziemlich laut.
Same on board, Stan.
Good trajectory and engine performance. Booster officer will soon report the shutdown plan to Flight Director Judd Friedling, expected at the 7-minute mark. Integrity, 78 miles in altitude, 460 miles downrange.
Integrity, expect nominal shutdown.
Integrity copies nominal shutdown.
Six minutes 40 seconds of mission elapsed time. Shutdown plan is as expected. Again, the time of MECO was confirmed at 8 minutes 2 seconds into the flight.
Ich sehe jetzt noch ein paar Fragen von euch. Die erste, warum stößt der Sauerstoff aus? Also die also es ist eine Mischung aus Sauerstoff und Wasserstoff, um die Rakete zu kühlen. Ja, das wurde dann auch schon richtig beantwortet da. Welche Plattform? Die Plattform ist ich habe den Namen vergessen, in Florida. Und ich muss jetzt ganz kurz nachgucken, wie die Rampe heißt, falls euch das auch noch interessiert. Das ist der Kennedy Space Center und vom Launch Komplex 39B wurde die gestartet.
The window is now open for an abort once around option that would target splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. Still following nominal ascent at this time.
Boba fragt, weiß man, wann die am Mond ankommen? So direkt auf dem Mond landen werden sie nicht. Ankommen gibt es einen Plan für.
About 10 seconds remaining until the main engine cutoff of the Space Launch System Core Stage.
Man muss sich jetzt selber aber auch nochmal nachgucken. Die genaue Zeit weiß ich jetzt nicht. Also die steht so oder so nicht fest. Die Missionsdauer sollte ca. 10 Tage dauern. Aber ich lese ja, hier steht, ungefähr in 4 bis 5 Tagen kommen die am Mond an. Jetzt sehen wir nochmal gut, wie sie das weitere Triebwerk abwerfen. Das ist jetzt, glaube ich, ja kein echtes Bild. Die Stage wurde abgeworfen. Da oben in dieser Kapsel sind dann die Astronauten drin.
8 minutes 40 seconds into the flight, we have a nominal main engine cutoff heading in the right trajectory on the way to swing around the moon. Core stage has separated, done its job.
Der Frage, was schaust du da? Wir schauen gerade den Raketenstart der Artemis 2. Oder haben ihn geschaut.
9 minutes of mission elapsed time. Integrity crew
9
of Reed
Minuten
Wiseman,
sind sie
Victor
jetzt schon in der
Glover,
Luft.
Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen now in orbit around the Earth at the beginning of their journey to the moon.
Sie umrunden jetzt immer die Erde und dann starten sie zum Mond.
Integrity Houston, looking ahead to PRM, numbers so far per the pad.
Copy that, Stan, numbers for the pad.
Capcom Stan Loves now reminding the crew that the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition is as expected prior to booster ignition. That time being 49 minutes, 50 seconds of mission elapsed time.
10 Minuten ist jetzt die Mission lang, also 10 Minuten sind sie in der Luft.
Integrity, good. Neds deploy.
Copy that, Stan. Good, Neds.
Unten rechts sehen wir jetzt auch noch mal, wie weit es noch bis zum Mond ist, wie weit sie schon geflogen sind und die Geschwindigkeit. Wir können jetzt noch mal gleich zum Start zurückspulen, damit ich euch die Sachen erklären kann, die da passiert sind, wo ich ja nicht da war, also wo ich jetzt nichts erzählt habe. Das ist jetzt so die Kapsel, die ich hier sehen könnt. Da sitzen ungefähr die Astronauten. Da ist noch das letzte Triebwerk. Und jetzt müssen wir mal gucken, 11 Minuten zurück. Jetzt müsste gleich hier sein. Jetzt gehen wir noch mal kurz zum Start, der ja glücklicherweise gut gelaufen ist. Also hier wurden die Raketen natürlich erst gestartet.
The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Hier sieht man natürlich die riesige Rauchwelle. Das ist wirklich sehr groß, muss man sich das vorstellen, weil die Rakete ist schon riesig. Hier sehen wir sie jetzt erstmal aufsteigen und die ist ziemlich schnell. Also das ist eigentlich, wenn man nicht dabei ist, glaube ich, schwer vorstellbar, wie das eigentlich aus ist, also so die Dimensionen. Dann sieht man gleich nämlich den ersten Triebwerkabwurf ganz gut. Also hier sieht man auch, dass sie nicht gerade aufsteigt. Manche stellen sich vor, die steigt perfekt gerade auf, aber sie steigt in den Bogen auf. Das hat man dann nochmal richtig schön an dem Rauch gesehen. Und jetzt kann man auch noch mal gut hören, obwohl sie so weit weg ist, kann man sie noch relativ laut hören.
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis 2 mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour.
Wir warten jetzt noch mal bis zum Triebwerkabwurf. ihr Zeit, könnt ihr ja gerne dem Discord-Kanal, der Link ist in der Beschreibung, joinen. Würde ich mich sehr freuen. Einmal ein bisschen Eigenwerbung. Like und Abo nicht vergessen, falls ihr das noch nicht getan habt.
1 minute 50 seconds of mission elapsed time. Standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%. Ahead of solid rocket booster separation. Expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark.
Sie sagen, haben die gesagt, dass die erste Separation, also der Abtrennung von den Triebwerken bei 2 Minuten 50 passiert. Da sieht man jetzt nochmal richtig gut die 2 Triebwerke, die abgeworfen wurden. Und hier die Rakete selber, die fallen dann einfach ins Meer. In der Küste von Florida müsst ihr das sehen. Hier sieht man nochmal, wie schön nach dem Start die Erde an einem der Triebwerke. Und die werden abgeworfen, weil die relativ schnell leer gehen. Und danach sind sie nur noch Last. Das ist auch der gesamte Aufbau der Rakete, warum sie so auseinanderfällt.
2 minutes 45 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. Thrusters on integrity.
Genau, viel mehr gab es jetzt hier auch nicht Besonderes mehr zu sehen. Da hat man die dann nochmal gut gesehen. Gehen wir wieder zum Live. Genau, jetzt erzählen wir noch ein paar weitere Sachen.
As Gary just said, they've got a long day ahead of them, so wishing them well on everything, but so far, what a beautiful launch to watch.
Yeah, to be returning to the lunar orbit in more than 50 years, maybe they go farther from Earth than any other humans before them, maybe they see parts of the moon that we've never seen before. I mean, what a great start to what could be all of these milestones that we break in just a 10-day mission.
Yes, what a way to
das, was wir gucken, ist gerade der Livestream von der NASA direkt. Und was hier noch besondere Information, dass es die Astronauten sind, die am meisten von der Erde entfernt sind von allen, also die entfernen sich am weitesten.
Man, we are going back to the moon for all, and we saw that today. We saw that in all the crowds, and yeah, you guys just saw that view, the sunrise or sunset. I guess they just made it over the crest of the Earth, and you could see the sun peeking over. One of my favorite views from space, and I can't imagine what they're looking at now, and I can't wait to see what they're looking at in about 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, and you know, I know a lot of people are like, you know what, I'm surprised this launched on the first try, because we know, like any little thing, we have to be keeping safety in mind, and we want to make sure we're ready to go, but we were ready to go, and I think it surprised a lot of people. What a wonderful surprise on this Wednesday evening.
It did, you know, and it kind of surprised me as well, but you know, it's just a testament to the team here that has been working so hard on Artemis. You know, Artemis 1, we learned a ton of lessons. We learned a ton from the wet dress for Artemis 2. We were able to go in, fix those things. We even had a couple mishaps today, not mishaps, but a couple, you know, anomalies today that the team creatively came up with solutions for. It's just a testament to the teamwork that gets us to the moon.
And so we can continue to watch Christina, Reed, Victor, and Jeremy on their way now to the moon in Earth's orbit and awaiting the next in-flight milestones, deploying Orion's solar arrays. So why don't we get back in with Mission Control and Gary.
Hier hinten konnte man auch mal gut die leere Startrampe sehen. Das ist natürlich nicht mehr zu sehen, aber da wo die Rakete gestartet ist, jetzt ohne Rakete.
We copy Houston, thank you.
Cross-tie referring to flight controllers here initiating a connection between some of the batteries aboard the Orion spacecraft, allowing for an even distribution of power. This is the flight control teams that took us through ascent of the Artemis 2 mission today. Right now we're, as you see, passing 18 minutes of mission elapsed time. The Orion spacecraft integrity and the interim cryogenic propulsion system are maneuvering tail to sun. It is in this orientation, this attitude.
Integrity anywhere until not momentary prop caution.
And Reed, no action, we're looking at it.
Commander Reed Wiseman verifying what is being routed to his displays aboard Integrity. Propulsion engineer confirming that no action is needed at this time. They're pressing through with their nominal procedures to prepare for the perigee raise maneuver. And of course, the solar array wing deploy ahead of that. The solar wing deploy is a critical milestone. We'll continue to have our coverage follow the mission until that deployment. A successful launch is just the beginning. The deployment of the solar arrays and successful confirmation that those solar array wings are drawing power is a significant milestone, and says to the flight control teams that we will continue on today's mission. Power needs to be drawn to continue through some of the next milestones. Until then, the AOA open option that was called up upon ascent, the aboard once around, is the current option, and the board to orbit option ATO will be switched to a preferred mode at the time that the solar array wings are deployed and latched. It gives the flight control teams a little bit more flexibility.
Integrity Houston, update on TDRS handover for your pad.
Give us just 1 minute. And Stan, you can read it. Ike is ready to copy.
Roger. TDRS handover east to west expected 1 second earlier at 5:1 minutes 26 seconds.
All right, Stan, we copy 1 second earlier for 5126 TDRS east to west, and saws are starting to deploy. Thermal knives are firing.
We concur. Thanks for the report.
Read back of the reports that you just heard on the Orion to Earth network. Integrity has maneuvered tail to sun. The RL-10 nozzle on the end of the ICPS is pointed towards the sun, and the solar array deployment sequence has begun. With the deployment confirmed, it'll be several minutes until they are what is called in a latched position. Once they are latched and confirmed to be drawing power, they can switch the mode to ATO and continue along the mission. The teacher's handover at the pad, that message meant the crew was provided some preliminary numbers of when to expect handovers between the tracking and data relay satellites. Currently orbiting Earth at an altitude of 545 statute miles above the Earth, they are in a near-Earth network communication system. The tracking and data relay satellites, geosynchronous satellites that are stationed about 23,000 miles above the Earth. After the apogee raise burn that occurs later today, the burn itself will put them in an altitude that surpasses the range of the
seht ihr
tracking
nochmal
and data
die
relay
verschiedenen
satellites, and they
Checkpoints,
will
die die
transition to the
Rakete
Deep Space
erreichen
Space
kann
Network
oder muss.
today.
Das hier wurde schon erreicht, auch das kommt noch. Und ich würde mich damit auch aus dem Stream erstmal verabschieden. Ich werde euch das hier noch ein bisschen anlassen, dann könnt ihr noch ein bisschen weiter schauen selber. Aber ich werde jetzt hier nicht mehr groß zu kommentieren und ja, damit will ich auch schon sagen, gute Nacht für euch.
This is Mission Control Houston, passing 23 minutes of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. This is after a launch that began at 5:35 and 12 seconds Central Time, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Right now, the orientation you're seeing from our aero visualization that translates some of the telemetry that we're getting from the spacecraft and puts it into a model so you can follow along on some of the milestones that we are following here. The RL-10 nozzle that you see at the left end of your screen, though it is currently not firing, that nozzle is pointed towards the sun, and the solar arrays are currently deploying. From this visualization, they look fully stowed in a position.
Integrity, we are happy to report that Jeremy has the O2 sensors on.
Copy O2 sensors.
Again, Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover overseeing the deployment of the solar arrays. And we'll follow the attitude maneuver changes ahead of the first burn of the ICPS engine, the perigee raise maneuver.
Integrity Houston, we see 4 saws deployed and latched, ready for ATO preferred.
Yeah, we're almost there in the procedure stand, and we see the same thing.
And Integrity Houston, we are seeing a 7-second miscompare between the MET on Orion and ICPS. We'd like you to read us the MET from your center status bar and for the ICPS on StackSum.
And Stan, we see a absolutely precise alignment. MET 25, 14, 15, 16, precisely aligned with ICPS MET.
Copy, thank you for that. We'll investigate a ground issue.
And Houston Integrity, ATO preferred set.
Copy, ATO preferred.
This is Mission Control Houston, 25 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight of Artemis 2. We have confirmation that all 4 solar array wings are deployed and latched. This is the configuration needed to switch to ATO preferred, which you did hear confirmed from pilot Victor Glover. That mode has been switched. There's also a discussion with Capcom Stan Love and Commander Reed Wiseman about the alignment of the MET clocks on the Orion spacecraft and the ICPS. Commander Reed Wiseman confirmed the clocks are in sync, no issues. They're going to investigate it on the ground. We're proceeding with today's mission. 26 minutes of mission elapsed time and counting. This is Mission Control Houston. We're approaching 28 minutes of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. At this point, we've had a successful liftoff from the pad at 5:35 p.m. and 12 seconds p.m. Central Time, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. We've had a good main engine cutoff, core stage separation, and a good trajectory to begin today's mission. Right now, the spacecraft has maneuvered tail to sun. We're standing by for another maneuver to maneuver into the burn attitude. This is where the RL-10 engine of the ICPS is pointed in the correct orientation for the perigee raise maneuver. We did hear confirmation that the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition has been confirmed per the pad, which means it was the predicted time prior to liftoff.
Integrity for GNC, we're taking channel 1 to unfiltered and to BFS.
Okay, Stan, we're watching. Go ahead.
Capcom Stan Love reading up to the crew of Integrity. They will switch the navigation source from channel 1, standing by for confirmation that that switch has occurred. Pilot Victor Glover will receive confirmation when, and as at least watching to confirm that that switch has occurred. Again, the perigee raise maneuver that we're heading towards, not too long from now, we're actually inside 20 minutes at this time from the time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver. We did have a successful deployment and launched of all 4 solar array wings. This is the configuration needed to commit to the perigee raise maneuver. Of course, flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston will continue to evaluate that everything is good before committing to that burn. The perigee raise maneuver does raise the perigee, the lowest point in the orbit, from 15 to 100 nautical miles. The 100 nautical mile mark is needed to continue in low Earth orbit and hit the target for the apogee raise burn. That will put them in a high Earth orbit for the remainder of the day and set them up for the right position to execute the translunar injection and head to the moon tomorrow. The burn duration of the perigee raise maneuver is 26 seconds. A relatively short burn, but it does raise the perigee and do the job to get into the correct position before firing that main engine on the ICPS. The pad had a TDRS handover. This is the tracking and data relay satellites. East to west, they are geosynchronous satellites that are positioned around the globe. And as Orion makes its way around the Earth right now, above the west coast of Africa, at an altitude of about 923 statute miles, and counting. The perigee raise maneuver is not executed at the perigee. It is rather executed on the, actually closer to the apogee. But what it does is it raises the perigee on the other end of the orbit to 100 nautical miles. The 26-second duration burn does not conflict with the time that they've reported of the tracking and data relay satellite handover from TDRS east to west. Again, geosynchronous satellites that are used not only by Integrity today, but the International Space Station as well. That time of handover is 51 minutes, 26 seconds. Plenty of margin before the perigee raise maneuver cutoff happens, and the trajectory is analyzed to see whether it was a good burn. A good burn means that the burn was performed as expected and sets the trajectory on course for that 100 nautical mile perigee target mark. Again, for those sticking with us on NASA Plus and following along on our coverage, we will continue to follow and to cover the mission until, actually, we'll continue to cover the mission 24/7. But we'll wrap up our coverage here shortly, and now that solar array wing deployment has occurred on NASA Plus and Amazon Prime. Again, we will continue coverage 24/7 at the NASA YouTube channel. For those that want to see all of the upcoming milestones, there are select times where we will be coming back to NASA Plus and other streaming platforms. You can go to nasa.gov to find the latest on when to find those activities. Given that this is an operational mission, we do want to make sure that we are maintaining transparency in the mission and providing you all the information on what's happening in space as Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen head on their mission around the moon. Inside Integrity at this time, again, the solar array wings have deployed. The Integrity is maneuvering to its burn attitude ahead of the execution of the perigee raise maneuver. Overseeing these steps is primarily done by Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover. Mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen focusing on some of the system activation inside of Orion, namely the environmental and control and life support systems. The activation and checkout of some of these critical systems are very important to continuing on the mission, making sure that those systems are in a good condition and in a reliable condition to provide the necessary environmental and control needs of the crew, with humans on board through the duration of the mission that extends 10 flight days. Standing by for an update to the perigee raise maneuver time of ignition. Should be right up to the crew very shortly.
Integrity Houston, updated PRM numbers when you're ready to copy.
All right, Houston, we are ready to copy.
TIG is 2 seconds earlier at 4 9er minutes for 8 seconds. TIGO unchanged at 2.6 seconds.
49:48, TIGO 26.
This is Mission Control Houston. With that update, we are approaching a little more than 13 minutes from the time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver. That time updated to be 2 seconds earlier was 49 minutes, 50 seconds of mission elapsed time. We'll now move to 49 minutes, 48 seconds. The duration of the burn, that's what was referred to as the TGO, will still remain at 26 seconds. Relatively short duration burn, again, just raises the perigee of the orbit today. Making sure they hit the mark on that time of ignition is the primary concern of Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover. Mission specialist Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen inside activating those environmental control and life support systems. At this time, all 4 crew members are wearing the launch and entry suits.
Integrity Houston, for Optimus on the PCD, we have time update instructions when you're ready.
And Houston, Integrity, we copy. Hands are pretty busy at this time. I think we will call you back when we're ready for that.
All right, that one is not urgent. 2 minutes to maneuver to PRM attitude.
We are watching and concurred. 90 seconds-ish, maybe.
Pilot Victor Glover confirming that maneuver less than 2 minutes. Again, the point of that maneuver is to point the main engine of the ICPS, the RL-10 engine, in the proper orientation to execute that 26-second burn. It needs to point in the correct position to achieve the goal of raising the perigee to 100 nautical miles. You heard some of the environmental control system activations over Orion to Earth. Jeremy Hansen activated the O2 sensors. They'll be measuring the cabin of Orion. During all of the activations, here on the ground in Mission Control Houston, Flight Director Judd Freeling is doing a poll with all flight controllers in the room to see if we are in a go position to go ahead and execute the perigee raise maneuver. Once concluded, Stan Love will report it back up to the crew, and we'll stand by for that.
Integrity Houston, MCC polls go for PRM pending attitude and saws.
Hey, we copy. MCC is go. Maneuver starting.
Minutes of mission elapsed time. The maneuver to the burn attitude has begun. The maneuver also is paired with reorientation of the solar array wings that have been deployed. They will have various positions throughout the duration of the flight. Of course, solar array is meant to maximize the draw of power from the sun. So when deployed, we're in a biased solar array wing configuration that was called solar normal. This allows for the greatest surface area of the solar array wings to be drawing power and powering up those batteries of integrity, of which a cross-tie was enabled between the four batteries, the four battery buses that are inside of Orion. However, for the perigee raise maneuver, the solar array wings will be put into a position to take on the loads imparted by the ICPS main engine when they execute the 26-second burn. You can see in the animation here, the solar array wings are in motion, and the attitude is being reconfigured to point the engine in the correct direction, those solar array wings being pointed forward. You're getting a live look inside the Artemis 2 mission flight control room. The team you see here oversaw the ascent of our four astronauts inside Integrity, launching at 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Now again, this room will be occupied 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with flight controllers shifting on 3 shifts to oversee 24/7 operations of Artemis 2 while in flight. We will cover that live on the NASA YouTube channel, and we'll be covering that around the clock as we begin to wrap up our coverage here on NASA Plus. Before I do want to send it over to our colleagues at the Kennedy Space Center. And to my colleagues, it was a pleasure to join the teams at the Kennedy Space Center and be a part of such a historic launch. Here in Houston, again, we're turning our attention to the mission. And for now, we'll say farewell and thank you to our colleagues there for today's launch coverage. We'll see you again soon for Splashdown. This is Mission Control Houston, sending it back over to Megan and Nicole at the host desk.
Thank you, Gary. And yes, it was such a pleasure to be a part of this historic mission that started right here at Kennedy Space Center. It was such an amazing sight to be a part of. And now, as Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen begin their journey, we here at the Kennedy Space Center are about to wrap our broadcasts. We'll, of course, though, have 24/7 coverage with our colleagues at Johnson Space Center starting as soon as we sign off, so don't worry. You can follow along our 4 astronauts every minute of their nearly 10-day journey to the moon and back. Nicole, I'll definitely be watching it, and I'm sure you will, too.
Yes, of course. You know, they just started, right? The launch was beautiful. This was a historic day. They're on their way back to the moon for the first time in over half a century, but they've got a lot of work ahead of them, and so we're excited to see what they have to do and excited to test out the Orion spacecraft. This is a test flight after all, and we're excited to see what we can learn from this mission.
Very humbling, inspiring. It was really amazing to be a part of this, and I'm so glad that so many people joined along by either watching here in person or watching online. And of course, Nicole, thank you so much for sitting through this, answering questions, adding so much context and information that really brought a lot out of what we saw today.
Oh man, I had a blast. You're a rock star. You're a professional.
Gosh,
this was great.
Oh, you're great.
So this was a wonderful day.
Well, again, thank you so much, and thank you to you for watching at home. You know, tonight we didn't just launch a rocket, we launched the next chapter of human exploration. Our Artemis 2 crew now on their way back to the moon, and we're taking you with us. So thank you again for watching, and go Artemis 2. All 4 astronauts, and it appears all of them are undergoing their suit leak checks. Yes, a pre-flight tradition that we have seen with our crewed flights, the card game. The astronauts who have just left crew suit up and are now walking down a hallway. And here they are, NASA's Artemis 2 crew, taking their first steps outside for their historic test flight. And the 4 of them step into their astrovan. And off they go. Oh, this must feel so special to the crew to see all of these people here. Watching the crew walk across the crew access arm, getting a beautiful view. Everybody configured with their suits, so in we go. The closeout crew has closed the launch abort system hatch.
3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Oh. All right, this is Mission Control Houston. Welcome back for our 24/7 coverage of the Artemis II mission. At this time, we are a little more than 1 minute from the time of ignition of the perigee raise maneuver. At this time, the Orion spacecraft integrity has been maneuvered into the burn attitude, is pointed in the right direction, and the solar arrays are in the position to take on the loads imparted by the 26-second burn. Now at 1 minute to the perigee raise maneuver. The teams here are part of the ascent team of the Artemis II mission. Now getting our first views from one of the solar array wing cameras over the tracking and data relay satellites. We are in a night pass as we are about a little more than 1,300 statute miles above the Earth, just east off the coast of Madagascar. So we have, you can see the Terminator line right just west of the Philippines and the west coast of Australia, where we'll start to get some sunlight again. Now we're just seconds away from the time of ignition. We have ignition. You can see the perigee raise maneuver from the main engine of the ICPS firing from the solar array wing. Standing by for confirmation of cutoff.
Integrity good, PRM, and 1 minute to Teeter's handover.
Copy that. We see the Sable on board, and the sun is rising on Integrity.
Outstanding.
And with that, the first burn of the interim cryogenic propulsion system has been completed and put the crew on the right trajectory to get them to the moon.
Houston,
there are
Integrity for toilet setup, step 2.5.
Go ahead.
Yes, there was not an installed oxon inlet filter, even with empty oxone in the hose when I opened up the filter.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, we had a good perigee raise maneuver that sets us on course to execute the next major burn, the apogee raise burn. Now, the perigee raise maneuver just adjusts the orbit while we are in low Earth orbit, but the apogee raise burn is quite a significant burn, just shy of 18 minutes long.
Integrity Houston, on TDRS West, White Sands is receiving data. Houston is not. We're still troubleshooting.
That was Capcom Stan Love, part of the Ascent team here in Mission Control Houston. We changed over to point to one of the tracking and data relay satellites at the expected time. That time was updated to 51 minutes, 26 seconds of mission elapsed time, going from TDRS East to TDRS West. Upon switching to TDRS West, Mission Control Houston, not seeing some of the data coming from Orion, coming from Integrity. So we're standing by to regain the ability and troubleshoot some of the rationale as to why we are having some intermittent gaps in our data and communications with the crew. Now again, as the teams are troubleshooting.
Integrity Houston in the blind. We see good solar normal maneuver. ARB TIG is expected to be 45 seconds earlier than the pad. That's 1 hour, 46 minutes, 0 9 seconds. No update to TIGO yet.
That was Capcom Stan Love here in Mission Control Houston. He used the term "in the blind." That refers to as part of the data that we are not getting from the TDRS West satellite, noting that we understand that we may not be receiving communications from the crew, though they may be able to hear us. So Stan Love reporting what status is known on our end. We do know that from the data we are receiving that the upper stage and Integrity have maneuvered to solar normal, meaning that the orientation, the attitude of the spacecraft is such that the solar rays can draw the maximum amount of power.
Integrity Houston in the blind for Christina. Just before the TDRS handover, we heard your report about the lack of an oxone inlet filter. We copy that there is not one installed as expected, but please put in a new one.
Team here you see in this row at the Capcom console is NASA astronaut Stan Love. The voice that you're hearing from the teams here in Mission Control Houston up to the crew of Integrity. A Capcom voice that you'll hear throughout the mission as well. Next to Dr. Love, to his right, is Jackie Mahaffey, the Chief Training Officer for the Artemis II crew, and a voice that you'll hear from here in Mission Control Houston. Flight Director Judd Freeling is to Stan Love's left. The Ascent Flight Director and leading the teams through the ascent that happened today. And to the left of Judd Freeling is Flight Director Rick Henfling, part of the entry teams here on console to oversee the ascent portion. He'll be returning to console on Flight Day 9 to prepare for the splashdown on a nominal timeline for flight day 10.
Houston, in the blind, we're rebooting some ground equipment to try to recover the link. Expect 10 minutes.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, the teams here are troubleshooting the lack of a forward link, the inability to communicate with the crew aboard Orion. Teams are troubleshooting and planning to reset some ground equipment as the forward link was dropped at the time that we switched from TDRS East to TDRS West. That happened, that handover period started at mission elapsed time of 51 minutes, 26 seconds. Capcom Stan Love reporting some updates, what is called in the blind, meaning that though we...
Integrity Houston in the blind, expecting an imminent automated swap to string 2 on board. Also, reminder, we are still receiving good ICPS data.
Again, Capcom Stan Love reporting to the crew in the blind, meaning there may be an ability for the crew to hear the calls from the ground. We do know that we are not able to hear any of the crew calls coming from Orion. We did just confirm that we are receiving data from the upper stage, and that allows us to understand and confirm the attitude and orientation of both spacecraft, knowing that they are at solar normal. And with the reboot, we're starting to get some data here. We'll confirm that the data we are receiving is good. And with the regain of comm, we're starting to get some views aboard the Orion spacecraft.